Dear Diary, day one of Shotshow. I was walking around, found no Michalek, but I did find...
I did.
What?
I did. I got photos with him. I chatted with him and his wife. Honest to God. First thing
Did
this
you
morning.
not tell him that his good buddy Chris is looking for him?
No, I told him that, he had to quit coping my ass. He was getting pretty handsy there.
That is not a true story.
His wife was there this time.
Did he have his special Mossberg shotgun to poke you in the ass with?
No.
Now, that would never happen with a Canuck. We're far too polite. Just saying.
The Canuck would say sorry afterwards.
Yeah, it would excuse
Sorry.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry about that there, bud.
Yeah. Excuse me, eh?
Lord Thunder Jesus thereby.
What? It's not a Newfie shotgun.
That'd be the Atlantic Arms.
This conversation was going so well. And then we hit record
There we go.
Well,
And we've endorsed everybody except the people in this particular lineup.
in the actual lineup.
Yeah.
Well, how about we do that then? For the people
I need a box to stand you fucking tall
sorry.
people. Don't swim too wide there.
For the people who don't know who I'm here with, this is J.R. Cox of The Shooting Edge, and this is Phil O'Dell of the Phil O'Dell Engineering.
And Canuck guns.
And Canuck Guns.
Yes.
And importer in Canada of Bergera.
100%.
And proprietor extraordinaire of the Sterling Arms R18.
Yeah.
Yes.
Emphasis on the extraordinaire.
I think it's pretty extraordinary.
How are you guys enjoying the show?
It's been good. It's actually the attendance the first day, like last year, was
stand up now.
was
Yes,
light.
you can stand up now.
So there's more room. It was easier to talk to people. We'll see tomorrow because last year the attendance went way up the second day. So we'll see if it's as easy to get around. But
How many,
today was good.
Other than Jerry Michalek, how many celebrities did you guys see today?
I saw JR. I saw this really big
kinda hoping you would
jiu-jitsu
say
dude
me.
from Canada.
Oh, he did say me. That's so nice.
Zach was here.
Yeah, Zach Schwingerschlegel was here. He's a celebrity.
Exactly. He is. I mean, all 300 pounds of him.
He's a big dude.
He is a big lad.
He's a big boy.
He says he's a teddy bear, but I don't believe him.
Hey,
It's been good. There was some very interesting opportunities today that we found. So, going to be some cool stuff coming out, I think, in the next 3 to 12 months.
For Odell, or do you think in general?
No, for us.
For you?
Yeah. The rest of the world can look after themselves. I'm talking about me.
and his customers.
I was
100%.
I was hoping for like
That's
an
a symbiotic
exclusive
relationship.
Scoop. I'm looking for details now.
No.
I understand that.
Yeah.
It's a shot show,
I'm
man.
not getting anything.
No,
Yeah.
no, you're not getting any of the dirt. Though I did see the 14.5 millimeter anti-material gun at KDEX.
I saw that
and that
too,
was
yeah.
that was pretty epic.
That's a
That's a large
like
piece of kit.
60 pounds?
That was 48, but maybe I tell you
It- it-
optics
it's-
and everything on it, and the rounds probably weigh 2 pounds
Yeah,
each.
it's massive.
Yeah.
It's just
And if you
big.
take the 37 kilo muzzle brake off, it's really not fun to shoot.
Oh my god!
It would be really nice if we could have that in our country, though.
Yeah. So
You can. You just need the right license.
because it's 37.
Yeah. Well, of the three of us, one of us can't have these things.
Yeah. Well, they're saying the joules is
I'm
37,000 joules, so it's triple
really?
band. So it's triple band.
Almost 4 times.
Almost
pro.
quadruple
almost a
band.
quad-
A quad prohib.
Yeah.
Is it bad that just makes me want it more? Despite the fact that I would have to take a second mortgage on my house to afford it?
Oh my god.
That would just mean that all 3 of us feel exactly the same way about that.
Yeah, good. Finally, we're on equal footing.
Oh yeah.
100%.
If any of us showed up at home with it, the ladies in our lives would be very unhappy with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't get that past the front door. It's longer than the front door.
It is longer than the front door.
Yeah.
What'd they say, 40-inch barrel?
Oh,
20 inch.
It's
40.
monster.
How long was the barrel, Rooster?
40 inch.
40-inch barrel.
Yeah.
Mine would just want to know how much does it count for in the divorce?
Less than half.
No, they want.
Well, no, it would count 100% on my side.
Oh, yeah?
And then she's taking the house and everything else.
Yeah. The house, the car, the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you guys looking forward to tomorrow?
More the same. I mean, there's some interesting pieces out here. The problem is that you see some great stuff here, and it's a year to 2 years before it hits Canada, because it's launched here. So all the big dealers get to grab what inventory is going to become available. Like let's just take Marlins for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, like We saw 3 Marlins last year.
Yeah.
And we'll probably see maybe 20 this year. Like every dealer will get 20. So that'll last you the afternoon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's so little production allocated for international. So that's the problem is that
true.
there just isn't a lot of stuff here. And then if it's kind of military-esque that we're allowed to have it in Canada, it's getting bought up because it's going to the Ukraine or it's going to other places.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't blame them. Like, it's got to go to places where they're actually defending their lives with it. It's not for sporting purposes. So there's all of these delays.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see things. It's good to see the innovation. And I think we were talking earlier that in the last, even 10 years, the innovation and the technology gone into the firearms industry is amazing. Right, so there is a huge investment in this stuff in the industry, but we're just going to be slow to see it.
We're the fly on the ass of the elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got dealers.
In some ways, yes.
Yeah.
Because that pseudo-military stuff is heavily focused on the U.S.
Yeah.
And so some of the more conventional guns from other sources are actually becoming a little more available to Canadians. So I think from our perspective, and remember, we deal in a completely different area to that. Mm-hmm. So our import and distribution and our core lines, I would say, are more conventional. And so, things like the over and unders, side-by-sides, bolt-action rifles, hunting guns, I think we're going to see more deliveries next year. And 2 of my key people have already told me they have more space allocated to us for Canada. So there's going to be some things non-US centric that I think will be more available to folks like JR when you put your shooting edge Target Sports hat on versus your manufacturer side. Which will I think bring some interesting stuff for you guys to review, and it'll give the Canadians out there a much wider variety of guns to have a look at within a framework of all the guns that are classic hunting firearms, and so we won't have the legal issues with those.
Yeah.
So that's a big
that makes
plus.
a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, and I wonder when, for example, because I'm looking at one right now across kitty corner from us. It makes me wonder when we're going to see the Smith & Wesson 1854, the lever action that they're announcing.
I bet a year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right? Like a year.
Yeah.
Because they're launching it here, and Smith & Wesson is notorious.
And there's going to be interest for it in the U.S.
Oh, yeah. But Smith & Wesson does this every shot show, is they launch things that they've gotten to commercialization, but they haven't actually produced any for their customers. So now they're meeting with RSR and all these guys who will take up their entire production because they'll pay a premium for it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So we won't get it until next year.
And they're also looking to make sure they're not going to launch a flop.
Sure.
Because if it doesn't get well received here, well, that 1 year may just turn into infinity. Yeah. So they're also looking to tease on what the reaction is. And if the reaction is reasonably decent, they're going to go ahead with it. And if they've got to this point, they're pretty sure it's going to be, but they just want, public company. They need info for investors.
Yeah.
So, and quite a few of these around here still shave in part of the public company area. So they have to watch out for that as well. They've got different requirements out of Shotshow than private entities do. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing you got to watch. But JR is right. Anything you see here now and you go, oh, that's cool, it's 1 to 2 years before it'll hit Canada.
Yeah. Well, and there's things that we did interviews on last year that we still haven't seen in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
we're standing in a booth that we've had that issue with.
Right.
Because in that case, we were limited by barrel production.
Right.
And all the barrels come out of the one facility because that's what Bergara is famous for. And getting all of those in, contoured and configured for the different guns that they all go on.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got 1,000 barrels, you're going to make 1,000 rifles. Mm-hmm. And you can't magically make 1,000 of 10 different rifles with 1,000 barrels.
Yeah.
And so we were going through a little bit of that this year. But the gentleman who is the president of the Bergara Group they've invested, and so their production is coming up, and we've been told we will definitely be getting a much better response on our orders out of Bergara.
So maybe some mag lights in Canada.
We've been getting those.
Yeah?
Yes. That's a different thing. That uses the carbon wrap barrel.
Yeah.
And there was production ramp up with that, which is now happening much better. So yes, you're correct. We should see more MG lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But it's going to be tricky. And I mean, JR's right. When one of these things suddenly gets popular in the States, well, they're gonna do everything they can to keep them.
Yeah.
Where our benefit is that Bergara, Spain knows us in Canada, and they love the Canadians, and we've always been very good to them.
So final question then. You guys think we're on the tail end of this production shortage thing?
I would think so in some things. Like, I read stories about the lack of gunpowder and things, but it comes down to they interview an American company. Well, there's lots of places in the world that make gunpowder that are not American. So I think we are. I think we are going to see more of the things that we need. So I think we're going to see better ammunition supply. I think we're going to see better supplies of our bread and butter firearms. That's things too. So I think we are. Like, I'm looking forward to that, which is good because it's hard when you go and put in like a big booking order with suppliers, and then or a booking order, but then you only get a certain amount, so then you're as panicky to try to get other things. So when distributors can actually have a little bit of inventory, so you can react to the sales better, then it makes us all stronger, because it's a tough market out there. Like, it just is. It's a very tough market.
Yeah, I mean, JR hit it on the head. There's going to be areas of the market, and fortunately they're fairly large from a Canadian perspective, that are going to be that's going to ease, and we'll be better off. There's going to be some areas that are still going to be tight, and we look at guys like JR, with his Sterling, we've got that lovely AR 180 style that we can still have, and they're making it. Yeah. So we're not tied as tightly to the U.S. Absorption of parts on that gun as we would be if, say, we still had ARs.
We do see a lot more of that, don't we? Like, there's more Canadian firearm manufacturing. Mm-hmm. We were seeing more Canadian, like we were talking with Lab Radar today. We were, Cross Industries making magazines in Canada now. Yeah. And the plethora of 180 platforms that we've been seeing.
But then Apex, we got scopes.
And Apex, absolutely.
I mean, look at all of them. Yeah. I mean, that thing is, and I just looked at some of their new stuff, and it's gorgeous. Like, it's just gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's priced effectively too.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with the Apex line. But also too is I think the manufacturing in Canada is also, it gets a bad rap, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to take a while to mature. I'm lucky with the Sterling that I could use the other businesses to allow that. But when you think about it, when Kodiak and his launch, that's all they did. So they had to get it out, and they didn't have, like, they had to Hail Mary it. Yeah. So their issues, yes, and I hope they keep improving on things, right? Because I'd like to see more manufacturing. Because then if there's some commonality of parts, or some OEM and springs and pins in common, and it just allows us all to be a little stronger. I mean,
we kind of forget that, like, the AR-15 was on the market for decades and decades and decades before there was all this OEM stuff and cross compatibility with everything.
Well, also look at, we used to, like, when we started bringing ARs back in like 2001. There was a lot of manufacturers that had a lot of issues.
Yeah,
it wasn't that.
There still are.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So everybody makes fun of the Canadian manufacturers, but I'd like to point out a couple international and American companies that have put out some pretty lousy products, and they're big names here.
Yeah.
Like where we've had to take entire lots and quarantine them and send them back. I mean, the most.
I'll just name one. I love my Sig Cross. But the trigger on the Sig Cross when it first came out, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one or not, with a bump, it would go off. They had to recall the whole thing. And we're talking about Sig Sauer, for God's sakes.
Well, we're looking at we're across.
Wasn't there a cartoon about that?
Yeah.
Well, and the P320 also.
Yeah.
Put it down
two
slowly.
for Sig.
Well,
Yeah.
let's look at Smith & Wesson across from us here. That our most video at the shooting edge on YouTube is when the Smith & Wesson 500 blew up.
Yeah.
And ours wasn't.
That would be spectacular.
But it was the forcing cone, and they had a real problem. That gun only had a couple of hundred rounds to it.
Yeah.
They had a real problem.
And that was
with
those
that
guys
gun.
right across from us.
And
Yeah.
they've got
And they're sort of a well-known name.
A little bit, yeah.
And they've got millions and millions and
Protecting
millions of
houses
dollars.
worldwide.
Yeah. To spend on R&D, and they've put out limits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So people have to remember that. Like, quit shit talking always. Anything that comes out in Canada, and like if it's garbage, it's garbage. That's
Sure,
fine.
yeah,
But if
yeah,
there's
sure.
if there's a few teething, as long as it's looked after, you know, then let's just try to not be so negative on our own. You know, except for the companies that are bidding on the firearms confiscation.
Yeah, screw them.
A pox on them.
A pox upon their houses.
Yes. You know.
Famine, plague, and pestilence for good measure. But yeah, and one of the things that we also have to say a big thank you is that the Canadian consumer has continued to support Canadian businesses.
100%.
Yeah.
And they spend their money. They don't have to spend dime one in our sector. They spend it because they like it. It's a great hobby. They're wonderful folks in the business because we're wonderful folks. But
So we keep telling ourselves.
they do a great job, and they really support us. And that's what allows things like Sterling to go from the first to the second iteration, to bring out additional models, to go to a different caliber. I know not if I'm allowed to say anything, but you look at those companies.
You just did.
Yeah,
There's amazing support that we get.
Yeah.
And let's face it, like things like Black Creek Labs, like they've really transformed, and they've come up with Siberian, and so there's more and more stuff coming out.
And working on the Grizzly now.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff coming out, and we're all trying to invest in the industry, let's face it, like guys like Black Creek, when the handgun banned, because people pre-bought some guns and then it got banned, they committed and they made those guns, like the handguns, at a huge cost, because they were only making like 40 of them or something.
And just tried to get as many out as they could.
No, but people bought them and they said they would honor it. So people only paid like $1,500 for the gun, and it cost them like $3,000 to make.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
But they did it.
Yeah, but they did it. They said we're not just going to refund your money. It's going to take us a while, because now we're making like a small batch of them.
Yeah.
But we're going to honor every purchase.
Yeah.
Like that. Like Rob at Black Creek, he deserves a pat on the back for that. Like that's an honorable
We really
thing
do
to
rely on each other, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
we're not
a
the
very
biggest,
small industry.
Yeah, I was going to say we're not
Really,
the biggest
when you look at
market in
that.
the world.
Yeah.
So we really do it's a reciprocal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, we have to. Well, just think about it. Look at KDEX. Look how a monster they are. 15 years ago, they were making rail parts for JTF2.
Right. Yeah.
They made scope mounts and little gadgets. Look at them now. They dominate the sniper rifle world.
Yeah.
MDT was making. They were making these like a really crappy looking chassis when they first came out.
Yep.
And look at them
World-renowned now.
They're amazing.
Yeah. Sponsoring shooters literally all over the world.
Yeah. So I think
And that's great.
all these guys can. Oh, we're getting the sum up single here.
We are. We're literally, the only thing we're missing is the cane coming from the side. We're actually running out of battery. So we're going to shut this down now.
Okay. So we're going to leave the ballistically speaking area
Podcast
here.
sign.
We're co-opting the B for the logo. Yeah.
And make
For
sure
the
you
bowl.
get the last shout out is you guys in the Canadian media that
shucks,
support us
Phil.
all. No, you got to put that in there, and you guys should be 100% appreciated and
And
respected.
thank you,
for that.
Slamfire,
So
for
support that.
lending you the.
And it's not just ballistically speaking. Get in here, Kyle. Big thanks to Kyle, because
There you go.
I didn't have a selfie stick for my microphone, and Kyle from Slamfire Radio let me borrow his.
And now you're the second shortest.
Yes.
And that's how Canada works. So live from Shotshow 2024, I'm Chris. That's Kyle from Slamfire Radio. That's Kurt, who you might have seen for a second there from Ballistically Speaking. This is JR from The Shooting Edge. That's Phil from Odell. I almost said that's Phil from Phil O'dell. That's Phil from
Not
Odell
technically
Engineering. We'll see you next time.